like I led off with, one of the most understandable is it's a wealth building tool. Value of owning a home is the wealth building element of it. It's generally steady. You buy, you're a homeowner. It's like owning the stock of home ownership. And by the way, every time you make a payment, you pay your principal down a little bit and you gain a little more equity and a little more equity. And then you have some appreciation in the home. And then that stacks on the top, the fact that you've paid down your principal. And it's just one of those steady Freddy things that if you just let it ride and you're not thinking about it, you don't need to check, online the value of your home every month. And so the respective value of your home kind of doesn't matter until it's time to sell or if you need to do a project around the house. But the point is, during that time of your home ownership, 90+% chance you are building wealth. There is it's almost a hidden value, but that's equity. And then when it's time to use that equity, either by virtue of you're going to buy your next home and all you've done is make payments, but I've got $60,000 to put down on my next home simply by staying in this home ownership game for a while. Get your smiling face on.
That's it.
We're going to have some fun. It's podcast time. Lights are bright.
Yes.
It's showbiz.
I know. I haven't finished my coffee, so hopefully this episode...
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You're going to bring the energy?
Something.
Bring something.
Something. Bring it. Besides incredible information in this podcast.
Oh, yes. It's coming.
Yes.
Fast and heavy.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Welcome back to the Anchored in Real Estate podcast. Like I said before, we're so deep in it now, we're not counting episodes. We're just rolling through, giving good information and great advice. If you're new to this podcast, we cover all things home and real estate, and we see how that interweaves with our lives because as a couple of realtors, we're kind of always on, but we're going to lay out some great content for you. And we'll get to it. I'm Johnny Dugan. I'm always joined by my co-host, the anchorman himself, Cody Chembars. Cody's a longtime licensed real estate agent here in Georgia and a realtor. And most importantly, Cody is the broker of Anchor Real Estate Advisors here in Georgia. I am Johnny Dugan. I'm also a licensed real estate agent and realtor here in Georgia. You can find Cody at Anchorman86 on the Facebook, and you can find me at Mountain Mansions GA on Facebook and Instagram. So head over there, check out what we're doing. I just posted a recently sold property. I don't remember if I told you, but it was my record quickest deal on the standard with the financing and all. 25 days from the day I posted the sign to the day we closed was 25 days.
That's awesome, especially in this market.
In this market, and what I like to point out is if you price your house right, and we didn't give this house away, but we priced it competitively. Mm-hmm. We had 12 showings. And this isn't like super hot area, but a nice little spot. And we had 12 showings in the first weekend, went under contract. And the buyer was borderline aggressive in that he wanted to get it done, but he had to go through financing and we had to go through an inspection and we had a couple repairs and all that. But all that got done in 25 days. So it's really happy for that. And hopefully there's a little testimony that comes out of that. I'll tell you that story offline. But so we're going to jump into our episode here. One of the best things about real estate and home ownership are just kind of understanding what the benefits are. So in this episode in particular, a little twist on words, what's the real value of home ownership? And one of the first things we start off with, and I think most people intuitively understand, is, you buy a house, you now have an asset or, something tangible, and it goes up in value, and you reap the rewards of that. But there's more that goes on to that. So let's cover those. So I know you got some notes. I got some handy-dandy notes here. Start us off. What do you define as some of the real value of home ownership?
Well, I think you touched on it with the intro of, you're getting equity. If you think of the real estate market in similar aspect of the stock market, there are two types of, I would say, traders. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a day trader. I'm not a stock trader. But there is a day trader. Mm-hmm. And then there is that long-term hold trader. where they're buying at some price and they don't care what's going on with the market, right? They're going to ride whatever highs and lows that it brings.
Right.
Those day traders, that they're watching the market. They're studying it as it closes. They're studying it as it opens. So I want you to think, when you're thinking of real estate, think of real estate in the fact of the stock market. And what does the homeowner want to do? Are they wanting to go into an area and stay for 2 to 5 years? Or are they going in and intending to stay there for 10, 15, maybe 20 years? And then we've covered this on other episodes. The average, home ownership lasts anywhere between 5 to 8 years, right? Our
On
parents,
average, yeah.
I mean, my mom still lives in her original house, right?
It's 30-some years.
30-something years. So what is the value of that? The value is that whenever you purchase, you're buying at that current market price.
Right.
That current market price may be high, like we saw the last couple of years.
Right. It feels high.
It feels high.
Right now.
But if maybe you bought low and you say, well, I'm in a position where I can upgrade, or maybe I want to transfer that equity, then you sell. But if you bought high and then the market dips, which is a lot of people are speculating it's going to do, does that mean that you've lost money?
No.
It does not mean that you've lost money.
Right.
It means that you're going to need time for the market to come back up.
Right.
So the benefit of homeownership, one of the benefits is obviously that equity, and you're getting that long-term hold, similar to buying Walmart stock in the 80s, holding on to it in the mid-2000s, and now you've got a lot of money in your stock account.
Yeah, like I led off with, one of the most understandable is it's a wealth building tool.
Yeah.
Point of the value, you talk actual cash value of owning a home, is the wealth building element of it. It's generally steady. We always say the caveat's 2008. But outside of that, you buy, you're a homeowner. It's like owning the stock of home ownership is the example we've used. And by the way, you keep buying into it because every time you make a payment, you pay your principal down a little bit, and you gain a little more equity and a little more equity, and then you have some appreciation in the home, and then that stacks on the top the fact that you've paid down your principal. And it's just one of those steady Freddy things that if you just let it ride and you're not thinking about it, you don't need to check online the value of your home every month. It's just like if you follow stocks and you go, oh, I track it every week. Look, I've got a retirement fund. I'm not going to use it for 20 years. I don't need to check it every day. I don't need to check it every month. Yeah. And so the respective value of your home kind of doesn't matter until it's time to sell, or if you need to do a project around the house. But the point is, during that time of your home ownership, 90+% chance you are building wealth. There is it's almost a hidden value, but that's equity. And then when it's time to use that equity, either by virtue of you're going to buy your next home, and all you've done is make payments, but I've got $60,000 to put down on my next home simply by staying in this home ownership game for a while. And then over time, and that also compounds just like a stock would. Yep. So that 3% per year that real estate goes up, well, it goes up a little more. And then next year it compounds on top of that and compounds on top of that. I mean, my starter home that I bought, I joked back in the 1900s, but it was 99. I sold it. It was 22 years later, I sold it for 3 times what I paid for it. And by the way, I'd paid the principal down. So guess what that gave me? It gave me a nice down payment on my next home. And all I really did was make the payment. And I maintained the home, of course. But generally, that is what you use as a wealth building tool. Right. And there's a third little way that helps you, before we wrap up the direct finance part, is not everybody knows this, but interest that you pay on your personal home mortgage is deductible. So that it's not huge. For me, I think it's like by the time I write it off, it saves me $2,000 or $3,000, but you can take that savings and go, well, that's kind of my maintenance fund. And so that's kind of a break even. So you get appreciation from the home value. You get the constant chip away of the principal, and then you get the tax savings. You add those 3, and it doesn't seem like much at first, but you go, oh, wow, I effectively made an extra $18,000 this year Well, the 18,000 turns to 22,000 next year, and then 25 the following year. And after you're in the home ownership game for a while, you're talking six figures that just kind of got generated just by you being a good, loyal payment maker and maintain your house in a good way. It's not super exciting like, say, a Bitcoin ride or a Tesla ride, but you can ride those down as well. But most millionaires, and I'll borrow for some other stats, but most millionaires out there, a big chunk of their millionaire-ness is their home equity. They've owned for a long time, and they've, maybe they have a retirement fund that's worth a few $100,000, and then they've got, a home with, say, 400, 500, 600,000 in equity, because it's just built over time, and they're bona fide millionaires that way. So that's the not so hidden value. There's other values in it, and you alluded to it.
Yeah.
So what was the next one you had there?
Well, the tax advantages you kind of touched on. You can write off the interest payments. Right. One of the things that my accountant, my CPA, has been doing for me, because we do have a rental home, we can depreciate that asset.
Depreciate that.
We can depreciate that. So now it's saving me even more money. I'm cash flowing on the rental because they're paying the mortgage and then some. And that's the maintenance fund, right? As the landlord, you want to make sure you have money to be able to fix anything that comes up. But you've got the equity. We've talked about that, which average 3 to 5% year over year depreciation, very steady. And then you can also leverage. Leverage. And this is something that I think you personally have leveraged your house. And I've considered doing this to purchase another rental. But it's taking a home equity line of credit. And a home equity line of credit is simply this. You take the equity from your home, and it's a line of credit. It's that simple. And it's effectively a credit card with whatever limit you decide that you want to take out of that equity. The benefit there is that now you have a built-in savings account. Now, I don't want to be inaccurate here, and I don't want a bunch of comments coming after me and saying it's not a savings account, because you are making payments on that, right? You're still financing it. Someone's essentially lending you $100,000 out of your house. They're tying that as a lien to that house. But you have access to that equity in case you needed it. God forbid an emergency, a job loss, something weird. And typically you can get access to that home equity line of credit somewhere between 10 to 14 days. So that's one of those hidden benefits that you cannot get in a rental. You can't.
Yeah, we talk about equity and sometimes it feels when you go, well, all right, great, I have all this equity, but how am I supposed to take advantage of this, these riches that I have? And I'm not saying go get a second, go get a home equity line and buy yourself a car or something fancy. It's simply saying the point of it is you have built some wealth, and that wealth lives somewhere. It lives in the equity of your home. Well, the whole point of having wealth is that if you need the money, you can have a resource to tap into. I opened up a home equity line of credit, and it's 2 years ago now. Local bank was running a special where they weren't charging anything. Just had to open up a checking account, and it's minimal investment up front because mortgages cost a little money, but it was minimal investment to have it open, and I just called it an opportunity fund. So I'm in real estate, I am an investor. Like I said, I'm a small time builder, but I just wanted to have a fund available that if I go, oh man, I can hop on that property and buy it because it's available right now, but it won't be available in 3 days. So I just started a home equity line of credit. Now, I'm not a huge credit. You know me, I don't use credit cards. I don't use credit for fancy stuff. I'm a pay cash kind of guy, but I recognize that why did I make reliable payments for 20 some years on a property to build equity? It's so that I could build my wealth to have an opportunity to do something else down the road. And the home equity line of credit is a way to just have that available. And then, like you said, what if I do, have a huge medical bill? What if I do have some other expense? So it also can function as an emergency fund. And again, we're not lenders. We don't benefit off that really. But the whole point here is saying that a hidden benefit of home ownership is that you can build equity and then have that available to you down the road.
Yep.
It can make life a little easier. And like we had mentioned on the previous episode, sometimes emergencies aren't such emergencies when you've got a means of covering them. And sometimes that equity in your home is a little bit of a safety blanket or a safety net, however you want to call it, that builds up and you can go, that actually is a resource I could take advantage of. Yeah, that's the bottom line there.
Yeah.
All right, hit me with another one.
Absolutely. So I think this thought, and again, it's not necessarily, it's a tangible benefit, but I think there's some kind of psychology behind being a homeowner and owning something versus renting, right? If you heard of Grant Cardone is so pro rental and not owning anything because of whatever, he's taking everyone else's money and making a capital fund or whatever he does. But the reality is it's a psychology of being a home owner, knowing that this is your home, that as long as you're making the payments and as long as you're maintaining the home, no one can kick you out of that home, right? Whereas a rental, the landlord may say, hey, I'm selling the house.
Right.
Now I'm in a position that you got to be out in 60 days because that's what most leases say.
That's right.
And so it's the psychology and stability, or the psychology of stability, that I have a place to call my own. I have a place to be able to see my dreams and visions come true and to maintain it with the understanding that if I take care of my home and my asset, one day today it's worth this, but one day it'll be worth this.
Yeah.
So but I think it's that psychological, that peace that I have a home to come home to.
Yeah, that's right. So long as you make your mortgage payments, there's nothing anybody can do to take your home or change your life or radically change your payment or anything like that. And so the stability part is big. There's a lot of people that they bounce from apartment to apartment or rental to rental simply because, the rent goes up. Landlords have a way of ramping up the market and at the, maybe the least opportune time. And so there's a stability there. I think there's definitely a pride and ownership element of it. Definitely is for me. You just take care of things differently. The grass feels different under your feet when you own it and all that. And then the other thing from a stability perspective is mortgages feel high right now, and I get it. My first mortgage payment for me felt high. But you talked about it the other day in another episode. Your first mortgage payment was what, $950? The benefit of a mortgage payment is, other than a little bit of insurance cost and taxes cost going up per year, it's usually $20, $50 per month. There's no dramatic increases. So it's a stability from a cost protection perspective. So if once you have that payment, that is effectively your payment through the life of the loan. Like I said, it's going to bleed up a little bit because taxes are going to go up a little bit and insurance is going to go up a little bit, but it doesn't go up by $350. It goes up by $20 or $25. But once you've got that payment down and then your life increases, or you make a little bit more money, you get that little bit of promotion or raise, but your rent doesn't then jump to compensate for it. It just, your mortgage stays the same. Yep. So if you're a steady Freddie and you're just like, man, that mortgage payment this year feels a little tight, I'm telling you, in the next 2 years, that mortgage payment won't be so tight. And in 5 years, you'll be like, man, I can't believe I got this place for this much money per month. I mean, you and I talk about it. I feel like I'm stealing my house, but it's because I've been making mortgage payments for 25 years. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's so, my mortgage payment isn't a whole lot higher than one of my earlier, younger day mortgage payments because I've paid down equity and all the things. And so just over time, you got the stability of nobody can force me to move. Nobody can jack my rents. Nobody can do that to me. And also, I don't want to call it rent control, but payment control. And you've got that. And then you do have the option of doing refinance and tapping into it later if things change. You can even refinance and lower your payment. down the road, which you cannot do in rentals.
That's correct.
But if I wanted to right now, I could probably refinance, and even the interest rates are higher, probably have a lower payment because I can then re-spread out. I'm not advising that. I'm simply saying there's a benefit there to the home ownership. One of those little hidden benefits.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, and as we come to a close on this, I think we need to pose our listeners with the question, and maybe you can provide this answer. When is the right time for them to purchase another piece of real estate in order to continue that wealth building journey? When do you think is the appropriate time?
If they've owned before?
Yes. So like in my example, I bought a house, my first house, and I was, I know why I made that decision, right? But like if someone is listening to this and they've really been on the fence, episode 2 about, hey, I want to get a rental. I want to get a long-term rental. What are some of the checkpoints that they should be looking for, maybe in their own financial journey, or, maybe what do they need to prepare to purchase a second asset?
Yeah. So it really boils down to your need and your stability, and of course your affordability. Yeah. But the moving on to a second home, like we talked about this before in another episode, where you might have a super low interest rate in a house, but maybe it's a smaller house, but it would rent really well today. That is one reason. Most likely you're going to need a right time is when you feel stable, because owning a home is all part of being more stable. I would never say, hey, if you're switching jobs and you're moving to a new area and, maybe you just had a breakup, that's not the time to buy a house. No. In fact, there's no shame in renting when you're getting your feet back on the ground. Absolutely. But when you feel stable, and if you've owned and being that you've been a homeowner before, if you understanding what it takes to own a home, now maybe 2 homes, but you're stable and you feel stable and you feel comfortable with the idea. And of course, you run the numbers with a lender, and it all makes sense. Right.
And I know that a lot of people, the people that I talk to, the ones that really have wealth, and I'm not talking billions of dollars, we'll just talk about the average person, right? They have built their wealth through real estate.
Sure.
They've just made that decision and said, hey, this is how I'm going to do it, right? Going back to tapping into that equity, right? If I've got $200,000 in my house, I can go and buy another property and use that as a down payment. And yes, I'm going to have my mortgage payment, and I'm going to have the home equity line of credit payment, and then I'm going to have this new mortgage payment unless I'm paying cash for it. But now I've just stretched out my portfolio. The goal is to get a renter into this new house that I'm purchasing to bare minimum cover the mortgage. But if not, what are all those tax benefits that are going to run back all the way to, to us personally at the beginning of the year when it's tax time? So
right. Yeah, above just the basic home ownership element, real estate has forever been and forever will be a really attractive investment strategy.
Yes.
And there's a lot to that. That's another episode.
That is.
But yeah, that's another value, because in your perspective, you've got a rental and you've got your personal home. Once you're stable and comfortable with the money, you now have the baseline to scale that out.
Correct.
And real estate's always been a really good way to do that.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to wrap this one up. Some of the hidden benefits of home ownership. It's just understanding that appreciation, everybody kind of understands that, and home values hopefully go up, but it's how do you take advantage of that? If you are building wealth, what does that matter? And then what are some of the other ways that just home ownership just kind of helps you psychologically, wealth building, of course, and then down the road with some investments.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And if you're looking to invest in real estate, you can give Johnny or myself a call.
That's right.
Find us online, the socials.
That's right.
Or call us directly.
Yep. We're both investors. We invest, we build. We help other people do the same. So also, because YouTube likes this in their algorithm, subscribe, hit the notification icon so you get a little ding on our next episode. Yeah, see, check that box. And you'll hear us on the next episode. So otherwise, have a blessed day. Talk to you soon. Record. All right, we're live. We're doing a sound check live. See what you get. Tell me what you get with your podcast sound.
Mic check. We playing golf today. We're going to get a couple of birdies. Lots of pars. No double bogeys. That's what I'm saying. No double bogeys team. Especially a country like born ready.
All right. Pre-show banter. Yeah.